Thank you and welcome to Geek News Review Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith. We are joined by special guest Mike McGee, and with me as always is Max and Philip. And let's just get right into it. This is the first one we've done where people can actually interact, so please interact. And after this review, we'll tell you the reviews that are coming soon. I think you'll be more excited than the prequels. So, all right. Yeah, Star Wars Episode 3. Positives. You want to start every review with positives. The Obi-Wan Anakin lightsaber battle at the end is, for me, a positive. I mean, Anakin kind of, it's really hard to watch Hayden Christensen act, but at least during the lightsaber battle, there's enough that Ewan McGregor is throwing out there that kind of makes it rather enjoyable, and to me, it's the best part of that whole movie.
I think Hayden Christensen is a decent lightsaber duelist. So that's pretty much all he's got going for him.
Yeah, I was reading up on this, and apparently one of the reasons he was cast was because he looks like he could be the father of Mark Hamill, and that's pretty much. Obviously, it wasn't because of his acting, right?
He could be the teenage father of Mark Hamill.
Yes.
Yeah, really.
Oh my goodness.
But I don't even think he looks that much like Mark Hamill. And then,
you could have got 10 dudes who could act better who look more like Mark Hamill.
Yeah, we'll just get right into this. Mike, you go first. You're our guest. What are some positives in this movie?
Well, before I get into that, I just want to throw out this quick thing. I kind of thought about while I was watching the movie today. It's like the prequels of Star Wars are kind of like people I meet at parties sometimes. Like Phantom Menace is kind of like that one person that I kind of have to talk down to and simplify things for. Attack of the Clones is kind of the irritating person I just can't stand, and I'm on the opposite end of the room. And with Revenge of the Sith, it's more like a mix between the two. Like, he can be an irritating presence, but at times we find some common ground. I'm kind of like, okay, this guy's okay. And so to go with that, like some positives, I guess, I have a lot more positives about this than about Clones. For example, like you said, Ewan McGregor consistently throughout these films, like he's got a lot of charisma and charm going for him that he kind of carries a lot of the heavy acting in this series.
Oh, there's heavy acting in this series?
Oh, heavy, like Red Dwarf star heavy or whatever. Ian McDiarmid as the now Emperor. Like, I just love his scenery. Like, he's so clearly such a bad guy. I don't know how he's fooling anybody, but he is entertainingly bad. Like, the best scene I think in the entire movie for me is when he's telling a story at the opera. And I just love listening to him tell this story at the opera. And it actually is about like a lot of the themes about, Shades of Grey and, not 50 Shades of Grey, but Shades of Grey, good and evil.
Oh man, the 50 Shades of Grey with the Emperor and Darth Vader there.
And even though we've been kind of harping on Hayden Christensen for a long time in this, I see Anakin. He isn't that much of a whiner as he was in the previous one, because at least there are some kind of more serious things he's struggling with, other than just, oh, I'm in love, but I'm not in love. Oh, I miss my mommy, but I don't miss my mommy. Like, he's actually trying to convey being conflicted about, well, who exactly are the good guys in this fight here and everything like that. It's not done well, but I mean, it comes across a little bit better than it has before. He's still pretty bad. Astonishing. He's fascinating to watch.
Character study.
But I mean, those are the positives I found about it. It's like I can see where it's going with some good ideas here and there, but as we'll get into the negatives, the Lucas brand of storytelling takes over. So,
Max?
All right, I got the Emperor does a better bat voice than Christian Bale does. I think they should have had Christian Bale go train with that guy to know how to, like, because sometimes he's talking like the Emperor, and then he talks like a regular voice. So I think he did that pretty well. I was like, if that was bat voice, nobody would have been bitching. And then the lack of Jar Jar Binks is the only other positive that I can find.
Blink and you'll miss him.
I mean, yeah, it was pretty good. You see him there at the end. and I think you might see him one other time in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, an astonishing lack of Jar Jar Binks, which is great.
Philip?
So it actually opens interesting compared to the other two movies. They start you immediately off in a battle. You're like, whoa, what's going on? I thought I needed to watch some people talk. So that's probably a good positive. And then I guess the Grievous, if I'm going to go that way, probably the General Grievous lightsaber battle where he's just swinging his arms is at least cool. That's probably it, because my favorite part is still pretty much the ending, which you talked about, which is a great scene. And let's see, that's pretty much it.
Awesome. Negatives. My biggest negative in this movie is Padme's death scene, because this movie has done really nothing to make you really care about the character. It's Natalie Portman. It sucks when she dies, whatever. But you don't it's so quick and it's so lame. She
died of nothing.
She died of a broken heart.
She's barely in the movie, so it's yeah.
Yeah, you don't care. You do care, but you don't care. You really don't care about this character at all. And then when she dies so quickly. She barely grunts the name of her children, and then it just passes out on a table.
No, she says that he's still got good in him, and then she dies.
Oh, yes. Instead of just staying alive and helping find the good in him.
Or something. Or why not, when he force crushes the life out of her, why doesn't he just, force crush the life out of her? Or, cause some, they could have been oh, she's internally bleeding, and yada, yada, yada. There's 10 different problems. No, she's just dying of nothing.
Yeah. And then, Anakin's switch to the dark side to me is also the same as the death. It's very anticlimactic and done very quickly to the point that you don't care. This kid was whiny, and now he's on the dark side. I don't understand it. I don't. And it looks very cartoony, just like Episode 2 did. Yeah. I felt like I was watching a Clone Wars cartoon.
Well, I think that's the technology of the time. So, you're going back and watching it now, and it doesn't look as... I actually would have to flip that on you. I was like, well, when that opening scene comes up, I was actually really impressed that it still holds up. I think it still looks really good. And but then, when they start throwing people around and they start doing their Jedi things, you can really tell. But I thought for the technology, I thought it was actually pretty good.
Max, your negatives.
There's a lot of green screen. All right. I actually stopped after 3, but it's just the random things. They never really identify the physics of Force users. They never say, hey, this is what they can do. This is what they can't do. So all the time you're in this constant oh wow, he could Yoda could lift up a ship and toss it around, but then he can't do 10 things in the movie where he's well, why didn't he just pick it up and throw it around? And then the ship is crashing. I thought it would have been way better if Anakin, as a display of how much more of a Force user he is, if he just stopped the ship in midair with the Force. I think that would have been a better scene, and it would have worked a lot better to show yes, he is the greatest, most powerful Jedi, and yada yada yada. So there's just a lot of little miscues that they have, and it just takes away from the movie. Yeah, when Padme and Anakin rush to see each other for the first time, they're like, quick, let's hide behind this round pillar where anyone could just walk around and see. And they're and she's like, no, we can't. And then they're all making out. And I was like, now, if this was today, and one person is a senator, and the other person is, the greatest Jedi to ever think, there'd be so much media around that you couldn't everybody on their freaking cell phones, everybody's saying, what's going on? And just you even have a little bit of dialogue about how they should be hiding, and they're not hiding at all. And then, they're always
TMZ
out on the terrace.
Field day, man. TMZ would be all over that. Intergalactic.
That's what I'm saying, dude. They're always out on her terrace. The whole city's out there, just it doesn't even matter. So I thought that was pretty lame. I was like, why is it? How is this a secret? Is what I want to know. And then, so there's just a whole bunch of little things. The ending lightsaber fight was good, right up until they went outside in the lava. Then it just doesn't make any sense, and it's way too CG. And it's like you guys had a great lightsaber battle going on, and then like they're using their lightsabers all throughout the room and hitting the walls and everything, but no damage happens. Now these are lightsabers you're fighting with. Any fight with anybody over the age of 35, I am against.
Especially when Christopher Lee did that flip off the platform.
Oh my goodness! And then it's just like, and then the Emperor, whenever he's fighting, you watch his face when he's doing lightsaber fights, like all the time, dude. It's great. It's horrible, but yeah, like I'm against they should just got young people. You see, when you need a lot of action and you need a lot of stunt sequences, what you do is you get young people, and they can actually do that. And I could go on, but I'm not going to. It's just bad. The movie is bad.
Mike.
Oh, me. Well, right off the bat, my biggest pet peeve is that R2 forgot that he can fly.
Yeah.
Well, no.
Took that off when they did C-3PO's brain.
Yeah, they rewired him. Honestly, kind of an overarching thing with this one is that I don't have as much, I guess, irritation towards this movie as the others because they are trying for darker stuff than they had in the previous ones, and even kind of in some of the other older movies, they were trying for some darker themes. I could see that at points, but it became a lot of show, don't tell. Like, just a couple of examples, like, they're talking about genocide, child murder, spousal abuse, as we talked about earlier.
He does get great rights on Padme.
Yeah, but like they're good ideas to explore that you can challenge viewers with, about like, hey, these can actually be kind of a more mature story. But then they're immediately undermined by Lucas dialogue. For example, some scenes I thought would have worked well is that like you were talking about Padme out on like the terrace when he comes back, and it starts out nice. She's talking about what she wants to do when they have the child. Like, let's take him to my home planet. Let's raise he or she, in the cottage or whatever. Have a nice, quiet, simple life. And it's kind of bittersweet because we all know that's not going to happen. And immediately there's like a moment of just quiet where he's just looking at her, and that could have worked as the scene. But then it immediately cuts to him saying, "I'm so in love with you." And then she's like, "But it's because I'm so in love with you." No, it's because I'm so in love with you that I'm so in love with you. And I'm like, are you kidding me? That could have been fine. But then he had to go and spell it out for us that that's what was taking place. He couldn't just let kind of the rhythm of the scene. I'm coming at this purely as a film from a filmmaker standpoint. You couldn't have let the rhythm of the scene, the pacing of the scene, and the dialogue that was presented earlier on speak for that. You had to go and explain, these two are in love, if you haven't already guessed.
Oh! Now I get it.
You get it now?
I thought they were just rolling down cliffs because they hated each other.
And also, the Jedi are stupid. There are a couple of good points, like when the Jedi massacre occurs and Yoda like drops his walking stick. That's effective. That's an effective scene.
Yes.
But then you immediately cut to a bunch of other Jedi being like aloof at this point, being like boop, ba-doop, ba-doop, and then they got all these troopers behind them, and Yoda's the only one who senses that something's not kosher.
Yeah, well, he's Yoda now. Like that's.
Yeah, he's the big head honcho, but like, come on, these are all masters, I'm assuming. And then what should have been a powerful scene again doesn't end there, and they continue to show more of that. And he rides Chewbacca, and it gets like it turns out some pretty cool concepts and ideas, and then immediately finds a way to kind of make them too simple, and it kind of irritates me at the end of the day. So.
Philip, your thoughts?
So, to me, I mean, I agree with you. How are the Jedi so stupid? I mean, how are they so suspicious of Palpatine? But yet, we're going to assign the person who is basically his best friend. And we don't suspect him. We think he's acting kind of funny, but go ahead and watch him and let us know what happens. But and then the other part that drove me nuts was I didn't understand why Anakin would turn on him when he blatantly admits he's the Sith Lord, when previously, hey, yeah, so I've heard about this Sith stuff, and there's a person who can do things. Does that interest you? How do you know about that Sith stuff? I don't know, I read books.
Here's the cheese, little mouse.
If you go to the Sith aisle in the library, there's actually a lot of good stuff. A lot of good stuff.
Yeah, that stuff was what. Oh god, that drove me nuts. And then, Anakin, Hayden Christensen. Like there were so many scenes. I agree with you, Mike. That like if he had just shut his mouth, the scene would have worked so much better. And I don't know. That's probably not all his fault.
That's
all of it's Lucas's fault. But another piece of it is he just doesn't know how to be upset. He only comes across a whiny teenager. Like anytime when I'm like, you should be legitimately angry. Why do you sound like you're crying in a corner because somebody stole your car?
What have I done?
Yes.
Oh man, when Obi-Wan shows up at the end.
Yes.
You brought him.
Oh.
His voice cracks, dude. His voice actually cracks.
But those are probably my biggest things that just drove me nuts, because there are moments in that movie where I agree with you, Mike, that like it's Lucas / Hayden Christensen that can pull you out, because there's moments where they start to get you in. Like this is probably the best movie of the original three that Natalie Portman actually acted in. She's like, oh wait, that's right, I can actually act.
Yeah.
Because she actually has moments where I'm like, oh my god, who is this? This isn't Padme. And there's those moments, like you said, where they're interacting with each other, and he's not saying much because he doesn't. I don't know. He's a good stone face, which works well.
Yeah. If you're going for that character, yeah.
And there's those moments where it's like, oh, they're gonna have it. Oh, there it went. Or Obi-Wan, flipping Ewan McGregor's carrying the scene, got all the emotion going, and Hayden showing the anger, which is perfect. You don't need to say anything, but then he talks.
Yeah. Well, for example, like you said, the very end where. Honestly, like Ewan McGregor's thing is like, you were my brother, I loved you, and like I buy him doing that, and then I can buy Anakin just not saying nothing because he's on fire and is a torso essentially, and just climbing up the mountain. Like I could just, if you just focus on his eyes, because he does have like killer like death stare eyes when he wants to.
Those contacts they had in there too to make his eyes all red.
Yeah.
And nasty look. Yeah. No.
That would have worked great, but then to hammer it home that he's full on evil now, Lucas is like, okay, yell really loudly like a little girl, I hate you.
I hate you! You didn't let me go to the prom! I hate you!
Exactly. It's like Lucas said, I want you to sound like a bratty teenager in this one.
Yeah, like you never buy it that he, like, because the whole point is Anakin Skywalker, like they're touting him out as the chosen one, and he's got all these responsibilities, and he's trying to save everyone, and he's got all this he's carrying with him. But yeah, like all you figure Hayden Christensen carries around is his fucking wallet. You know what I'm saying? It's like he's not.
I want to think of it this way, like. Say hypothetically, like before the prequels had even been made, they did that special edition, and they knew they wanted Hayden Christensen for Anakin. And you know what they did in Jedi, in the revamped Jedi, they took out the former actor, put him in instead at the very end. Like he comes in like a ghost with Yoda and Obi-Wan, and he's just there. If they had not written the character as such, and they had shot those movies after the fact, like they're like, oh, is that what he looks like in the prequel? Cool. And if they had done the character differently, we wouldn't have all seen that revamped footage and been like, who's that douchebag standing there with Alec Guinness and Yoda? Like, it retroactively took one of the coolest villains from our childhood and made him such a big crybaby, essentially.
That's a great segue to my last complaint of this movie, which is the end. We finally get to see Darth Vader, the badass that we remember from childhood, and he yells that really cheesy no.
Like, how do you manage to get whiny teenager into Darth Vader? Like,
they even got James Earl Jones to do it for them. You know what I mean?
Was that him?
The Bastard Dog is the name of the original actor who got screwed because of Hayden Christensen.
But.
So yeah, that is essentially our review of Star Wars Episode 3. Anybody have anything else to add?
Talk about how gloriously bad the Darth Vader was. I mean, because did he seem too skinny to anybody else?
It was him in the suit. It was Christensen in the suit.
Why? Like he was too skinny.
He said they did like a special feature on the, like I said, on the revamped originals before Episode 3 even came out, and he's like, it's been a dream of mine to actually be in the suit.
You're not big enough to wear the suit, bruh.
I'm sure it was a dream. So what, those robot parts, they just get bigger as he gets older?
Yeah.
Is that how it works?
and he grows another inch. They give him the longer legs.
Just checking. I didn't know. Anyway, that's our review. If you're watching us, tune in 23 minutes for our normal live show. Thank you.